Good evening, ma'am.
Yes, good evening.
Ma'am, I was going through the module.
Mm,
Um, yeah, so there are questions, right? After every unit, there are, we get like around three or four questions under every topic, right?
mm.
So, are those similar to the examination questions that we may get in our exam?
Uh, may not similar, not the same, exactly same thing. I don't think they will be giving, but as an example or as model questions, you can practice them.
Right. So we will be asked, right, about define and
Yeah.
to write the connection between a certain. Yeah.
Mm.
Okay.
Most probably, definitions will be asked because that's
Okay.
the way that to understand that you have an idea or an awareness about the topic. Well,
Right. Ma'am, by any
right.
chance, do you have past papers on this subject?
I'm really sorry. I don't have because I also joined this
Okay.
meal. Therefore, I don't have. But when when revisions are done, I think we'll be able to find some.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Right. Pics are there. Let's see 2-3 minutes whether the others will join. Okay, there are 7 participants. I think we can start. Right. Good evening, all of you.
Good evening, ma'am.
So, right,
Good evening. Good evening.
right. The fourth session under pedagogical psychology in your BEd program. The fourth one, social and emotional development. In the previously done 3 lessons, we discussed about the introduction to education psychology in the first lesson, and then in the second one, we discussed about the different schools of psychology and their contributions to the field. I think you can remember. And then the third session was under growth and development, the physical and motor development of uh, human beings from infancy to adulthood. Mostly we discuss about the, because it is educational psychology, and therefore we mostly discuss under this topic about the growth and development or social and emotional development of children. I mean, the age group from early childhood to the end of adolescence. That's the usual age group we take in discussion under this topic. Right. So that was the third one. And today we are going to start the fourth session, social and emotional development of uh, children or human beings. Right. From the term, there are two main areas we will be discussing on today: social development and emotional development. Both are equally important development areas under psychology. Right. So we'll have to uh, go fast as it is a big and a lengthy, the vast area we have to discuss. Therefore, I'm going soon. If you have any question, anything you don't understand or you need to verify, please feel free to ask or drop a message in the chat box. Right. Social development. Firstly, we will be discussing about social development, and social development. um, I have taken most of the content from your module, right? Because going beyond that might be difficult with your focus on the examination purposes. Therefore, I've taken most of the things from the module, right? So when you read the module later, you'll be able to get a, I mean, in detail, you'll be able to understand these things by reading it. So social development implies the development of an individual in which he becomes a useful member of the society or the group to which he belongs. So in the previous lesson, we discussed about the physical development, how growth, the characteristics of physical and motor growth, how a person grows physically. Now it's social development. So mainly social development discusses about how to make a person to become a useful member of the society. Okay? It's a very essential part of a total development of a human being. If he's uh, academically and physically developed only without necessary social development, then the productivity, the production that comes out of that person to the society will be, I mean, there won't be any production if he's not socially well developed, right? Just think about a person, about a human child who will be brought up in isolation, total isolation. He will grow up to be a full man, right? He can be educated also by personal, tuition or personal schooling can be done, and he'll grow up to be a healthy, physically fit man. But if he do not know, if he has not possessed the social skills like communication, collaboration, teamwork, right? Such social skills, if he has not attained them, then as a person, a productive citizen to the society, um, mm, he cannot be counted as his contribution will be very less, right? So that's the importance of making or socializing a person well. So an individual becomes a human being only as a member of the society. Every individual, if he is not brought up in isolation, he definitely will become a member of the society. Even though we like it or not, all of us are a member of the society. So by nature, he cannot live alone in isolation. By nature, he cannot, but by force, he can. Right? So we have heard of such incidents, be people being isolated by force. But naturally, in general circumstances, all people, no one likes to be isolated. They like to be living in a society as a member of the society. So biologically, psychologically, and social needs to live in a proper society. He has these things. Then there's a big need for him to be living in a society. Biological needs, when they grow up, they have a lot of biological needs. Love, affection are some of them. And psychological needs, attention, like love, belonging to someone, psychological needs, all of them are. And social needs, to work together as as a team and to communicate with others. So social needs. So they want to live in a group as in a society. The process of development of such qualities which bring desirable changes in social behavior is referred to as a social development or socialization of the child. A kind of a definition we can give on socialization or social development of a child. So that's how we can introduce the term social development. So what's the importance of social development, right? So without the social developments, what will happen? Think about that, right? So it's very important to become a member of the society. Then only we can understand ourselves also. If we are isolated, if we do not see um, others around us, or if we are not allowed to keep company with others, or with very few people we are associated with, then we do not know how the others behave, how the others think, how the others work. By observing these things, by being a part of these society, we learn a lot, right? So uh, becoming a member of the society is very important. Only through social development that can happen. Then builds interpersonal relationships, right? Um, Building up friendships, right? Building up other relationships like, the spouse, finding a spouse, right? Then um, building up relationships with their employers and employees, right? And as teams. So building interpersonal relationships is very important for a person, and it happens only through social development. develops cognitive and language skills. That's what I said, that we learn by others, right? To develop cognitive skills, right? One can, I mean, read and understand something, right? And the theoretically, he can be very well aware of a lot of things, but theories to be put into practice, then to, right? Definitely, we need a set of other people. Social development is necessary for cognitive development and language skills. Very essential to develop our language skills. If we do not talk with others, if we do not interact with others through a language, we never can develop our language skills. Sometimes written language to a certain extent, sometimes we'll be able to handle, but spoken language definitely needs social society, other members around us, human members, right? You know, there are stories about human children being lost in jungles and being brought up by or somehow survive with the animals. Such stories we have heard, maybe true, maybe not. We have heard that they don't have a language, human language, right? They can make sounds like animals to communicate because animals also have kind of a communication, but human language, uh, to learn a human language, definitely we need other human beings who speak this particular language around us. So, learns acceptable social skills. Very important nowadays. We especially, right, we see a lot of people uh, um, without having acceptable social skills, right? Even though we live in the society, still it's difficult to learn these things, right? So some, because especially these things, especially the most the basic social skills comes from the family, from the family. Then only school and the other institutions and other gatherings and other social movements uh, help us to develop the social skills. The family is the first and foremost unit that helps us to learn these acceptable social skills. So, family has a big contribution in socializing people, right? If the family is, I mean, the mother and father are uh, well disciplined, well educated, open minded people, then definitely the children will be very well behaved, socially um, acceptable people they will be. But on the other way round, if the mother and father are not well civilized, well disciplined, well educated, if they are very selfish, and you know, there are such struggling families, so then the family children also usually follow their some example. So acceptable social skills are learned by being socializing through socialization. And there was another one. Children with development delays fails to recognize social signals or give few appropriate signals. You know, there are such, you know, there are children with some genetic diseases, maybe disability, physical disabilities, right? Development delays, autism, Down's syndrome, such illnesses may be the cause, or physical deformities may be the cause. Somehow, development delays, they fail to recognize social signals. So, socialization in them is less. Then, uh, characteristics of social development. Mainly, what traits or characteristics we can see in social development. It begins with the infant's first contact with other people. In the previous lessons also, in physical growth also, we discussed some of the areas. When the child is hungry, right? He can recognize his mother's voice, his mother's footsteps, even the smell they recognize. First contact with other people begins with the contact with mother and then father and the other close relatives like grandmother, grandfather, siblings, right? It develops with, it starts with, social development begins with other people around him. And if he gets good, positive vibe in the relationship, then that's good for his better socialization as a child or as an adult. Social development continues throughout life. So we cannot find a place recognize an age limit where we can say that socialization stops from here, right? It's a continuous process that goes on throughout the lifetime until the last moment we become socialized. Let's imagine that we are admitted to hospital at our old age, right? So maybe that's the last, maybe the last moments of his days of his life, but still in that hospital situation, in that hospital circumstances also, he becomes socialized. He makes new relationships with medical staff, right? With other uh, patients maybe, or he in with the, you know, so it's a continuous process that happens throughout the life. From the infancy to the deathbed, it happens. Social development is the net result of the child's constant interaction with the social environment. So child usually keeps a constant interaction with the social environment. It happens, I mean, he doesn't think about it. He doesn't do it purposely. But somehow every normal child uh, keeps constant interactions with his social environment, with the family members, or with the neighbors, or with his playmates, or with the nursery teachers, or with the parents of his friends, other siblings, right? Somehow, from the very first moment of life, he starts to interact with other people around him, right? Even without words, he interact. As an infant, he cries, he smiles, he makes that cooing sound when someone he likes, when he sees someone he likes, right? Like that, um, non-verbal communication. Through non-verbal communication also, they interact. And social development helps in learning and acquiring social qualities of character, like we discussed earlier, to acquire uh, positive or good social qualities, like like to live without disturbing other people, to live without harming other people, to use um common things, common equipment carefully, right? Or to, lot of uh, good things, social qualities, to communicate with good words, right? To all tolerate people, to uh, endure certain situations, right? to all of these things, to learn this and acquire social qualities of character, social development uh, helps, supports us. Then, social development enables the child to adjust himself to his social environment and to maintain social relationships. So, social adjusting to social environment is also very, critical part of a child's development, right? Because as a child, a school-going child, he interacts with different societies, house or home, the family background. That environment is very different. Maybe he may be the only child. He may be the center of love of other people in the house, right? Or the attention, love, everything. So that social environment can be totally different from the school environment. In the school, he's one of the others, right? So there can be difference. I mean, the building of relationships will be different at these two different places. And he has other societies also. In the evening, he might be playing with his peer groups. So that social group is another, it has another context like that. To maintain and to adjust to different social environments and to maintain social relationships, social development enables or helps a child to do that. Right. So, now we said that in educational psychology, we'll be dealing with the infancy or from the preschool ages to adolescence. So, let's see social behavior of the preschool child. What are the characteristics or what are the general things we can tell about that? Child at this stage is ready to expand his social contacts, right? So, child in the preschool, he comes to the preschool right from the, um, he has been the center of the family until 3 or 4 years of age, and until the moment he comes or admitted to the preschool, his society might have been limited to the family. So, limited type of social contacts must have been there: mother, father, siblings, and close relatives like grandmother, grandfather, aunt, uncle, right? Very limited number of social contacts he had. So once he comes to the preschool, suddenly his world expands and he is ready to expand the social contacts. Normally, normal children, usually they are very willing to expand the social context by making new friends, by making contacts with others. So by the age of 2 years, he can obey certain commands given to him. So obeying commands is one of the main um, ways of socializing people. When we see, when the child is small, about 2 or 3 years, right? He is not very well socialized or very well disciplined. He's being going through that disciplinary process, and the eating habits, drinking habits, playing habits, even toilet habits, they have to be taught to him. To teach something, we have to give certain commands, requests and commands both. So at the age of 2 years, he can obey certain commands given to him. Command doesn't mean that harsh thing, you know. Don't keep your feeding bottle on the table or in the, like that. We can command him to teach him certain things. and he calls attention of other persons to object his objects he feels interested in, right? If he finds something is interesting to him, he thinks that all the others around him are also interested in them, right? That's why he calls them and tries to get their attention and tries to um, make make them also playmates, right? So he is more or less self-centered. He believes that he is the most important one. That's not selfishness. That's the way he grows, right? So that self-centeredness is there. And the preschool child is very active. And he has usually one or two friends. Usually one or two close friends. He's well acquainted with all the others, but one or two friends are the most intimate persons, and he plays through only for short intervals, right? Their play is also done through short time periods. He can't be go on playing for 2 3 hours. He gets tired of things, and he cannot keep his attention on one thing for a very long time. Therefore, plays also are very short. That's his social behavior. And race, caste, color, or sex, or social and economic status have no effect in the selection of friends at this stage. One of the most important things of social behavior of preschool child. He doesn't understand any discrimination that the adult world practices, right? Race, caste, color, sex, social and economic status. He doesn't care for them. But um, if he gets interested on behavior or outward appearance or um, any some emotional um, behavior of someone, he's attracted to him. He tries to uh, build a relationship with him, right? So that's why in childhood, it's common to all the children. You must have a lot of experiences in such cases. Then nursery school experiences contribute in acquiring acceptable social habits. So, uh, conducting a nursery school or a Montessori pre um, institutes of these pre childhood development centers. That's what word we use them for them. So that's a very big responsibility. Someone might think, are you handling little children? It's easy, right? But it's a big responsibility because these pre-primary experiences of a child contributes a lot in acquiring acceptable social habits. It's difficult to eradicate bad habits if they have inculcated them in early childhood, right? As an example, biting nails or um, hitting people, right? Spitting on unnecessary places. Most of them are difficult to eradicate or to correct later. Therefore, it's very important. Then elementary school child. That's the UKG and grade 1, 2, 3 elementary school.
Could you show me the previous one for
Right.
5 seconds?
Yeah, sure. Right? Enough?
Madam, I have got the screenshot, no problem.
Right. Then, social behavior of elementary school child. So he is interested in now he is a little bit bigger than the nursery child, right? He is interested in the play activities of his group of the same age and sex, usually, right? Usually, right? Um, these Montessori children, kindergarten children, they are interested in play activities. So even in the kindergarten also, we, we don't expect them to learn how to write, how to read, right? Nowadays, we hear that in such institutes, they are keen on making children read and write, but that's not the expectation, right? Activity based kind of education must be planned in a elementary school. Children must be given opportunities to involve in lot of activities, because that's the time or the age, if you can remember, the cognitive powers, the brain develops into 75% by the end of age 5. So a very critical period of time. So they must be engaged in, not play activities doesn't mean that they have only the physical things. Physical activities are also necessary, but there should be activities to develop their cognitive powers also, right? So they are interested in these activities, and quarrels are common among friends. Another social behavior is that very often they quarrel, but within 1 or 2 minutes they forget. That's their behavior. They don't keep on these, the anger or any bad feeling, grudges. They usually don't keep them in their mind. They forget. That's the usual way of them. So quarrels are very common. They hit one another also, right? They push, right? So lot of complaints are there. Then boys of this stage tend to be more aggressive. Usually boys are aggressive. That's the way, right? So especially boys, right? If they have siblings, brothers at home, especially elder brothers, you know, uh, they don't get big attention among his elder brothers. So he seeks that attention from his peer groups. Usually, they are a little bit aggressive, not a common thing. Usually, boys tend to be more aggressive. When comparing with the girls of that same age, right? Otherwise, that doesn't mean that boys are bad or difficult to control. That's their social behavior. Bullying and teasing are more common. Bullying is there. They hit one another, pushing and telling tales to teacher. Teacher, meow, කියලා. So those things are very common among them. Complaints. Children are interested in group activities and teamwork. So they like to be in groups, right? To be a member of the group. Special cases, there are some special cases, those who like to be isolated, those who do not like to talk with others. Especially, some special cases are there, but generally, they are interested in group activities. And team games become more interesting than individual work, right? And actually, because individual work, it's difficult for them to involve in the individual work because it's during this age they can't pay attention to one thing for a long time, right? Even if we see them play individually, right? To our eyes, we see only him, but in his mind, he's associated with lot of people. Even your own children or your children in your families, when they play, right? You can see that they talk with the dolls, talk with the dog, talk with the animals around them, right? Cat, dog, birds, ants even. And sometimes they talk with the trees and tables and chairs, right? He's associated with lot of uh, things around him. So team games are interesting than individual work. The social behavior of the child is greatly influenced by the social environment in which he lives. That's very critical for a child. If his social environment is that vibe is good, definitely that child will be good. Same way, if the environment is bad, if the parents are not responsible people, if they are, I mean, if they quarrel at home, and if there's not enough space for the child to live in, if the food and medicine is not provided well, so if in that bad condition, under that bad condition, the child's socialization also will be affected badly. I think these things are very understandable because as adults we have gone through all these things earlier. So social development of the child during the early stages of schooling, grade 1 to the first key stage, right? So how does it happen? This period is marked by a great degree of social awareness. Once he come to the school, now usually, now these days the grade ones are admitted to school, very few are crying. Earlier there were many, those who reject the classroom. But nowadays it's different. Uh, so they already have the social awareness, kind of, right? Because of the television and nursery experiences and things, they are well aware, right, about the society that we are going to school and I have to wear a uniform, I have to be seated, there's a class teacher, and I have to do activities like that. A greater degree of social awareness is done during this period. So there's a great expansion of child social world, right? Earlier, when he was in the family, he had very few social relationships. In the nursery also, there can be 20 or 30 students in the nursery and the parents and limited number of social relationships. Once he comes to school, definitely if he is admitted to a big school, then suddenly his uh, social world will be expanded hugely. Even if he is admitted to a primary school, still the social world will be expanded to a certain situation. A child tries to be independent of his parents and other elders. This is the time period they seek for independence, right? They like to do their own things, right? Like combing hair, getting dressed, putting on the shoes, right? Eating alone, like a kind of independence they need. They seek for it. the child becomes an active member of a peer group. So peer group, the same children of same age, they become active members, playmates, right? Even academic work also, they get into same groups, peer groups. So they become very active members. And there's a sort of segregation among boys and girls of the same age. Kind of a segregation is there. And to the end of childhood, that is 11th or 12th years in our country, primary grades, the grade 5, when the child completes grade 5, he's almost 11 years old, right? So that is the end of childhood stage. And 11, 12, 13, 14, then begins the adolescence period. The child enters the peak of gang age when he is 10, 11 years old, especially the children in grade 6, 7, right? That's the peak of gang age, right? They like to be a member of a gang to get that recognition, right? So there is increasing loyalty towards his own gang and conflict with other gangs. We see this very often in schools, even the school with a school with a very few number of students, still these gangs can be seen. The gang life develops many good as well as bad social qualities in the child. So ganging up is necessary for a child. It must be done, must happen definitely, but close attention of adults must be there. Teachers or parents or other adults, there must be close attention of them on these gangs. What they do, how they behave, how they talk, without interfering and harming their independence. There should be a close contact or attention on them. Then social development, factors affecting social development of the child, right? What are they? Mainly, the first and foremost unit that affects the social development of the child is the family. Because family makes the first and the most significant influence on the social development of the child. Father, mother, siblings, and other close relatives. Right? So, the parent-child relationship, right? That is the basic social development of the child. If the child is well loved, well protected, right? If he's given attention, right? Then he feels that he's an important person, right? He develops his confidence about the society, right? He grows up to be a man with confidence, someone who can talk with others well, who can make relationships, contacts with others positively. Other way around also, if the child is not very well, his the relationship with the parents is not that strong, then that weakness also can be, that's visible in his future character also. Then the second social factor is religion. Right? Religion also has it's a primary social institution. It plays a dominant role in the social development of the child. Whatever the religion is, usually every religion teaches people to be good. They teach them good habits, right? So socialization, or to make the person a good person with a good personality, religion plays a huge role. Then peer groups, right? Mainly, children are exposed to um, uh, other relationships than the family, closer family relationships, is when he goes out to play with others. Usually, that is peer groups. That's why we say that children must be allowed or encouraged to play with the children of the same age, because their ideas, their physical powers, their emotional emotions are usually same. But if they very often play with children who are older than them, then that socialization doesn't happen correctly, because the age gap and the emotional and social and intellectual uh, levels of the two set of children are different. So peer groups are also have a big effect on social development. Then school, because school life plays uh, a very big role in socialization of the children with the curriculum, the academic curriculum and the co-curricular and the extracurricular activities, right? And the teacher's influence on children, right? It has a big uh, effect on the child's development. Then community and neighborhood also has a big impact. Once again, positive and negative both ways. Then mass media, cinema, newspapers, radio, television, then these social media nowadays, they also have a very big impact on socializing children. Then bodily structure and health. Healthy child usually has a lot of ability and strength to make himself adjust in the challenging social settings, right? Having a good uh, physical structure and having good health supports a child to be well socialized. If the child is ill, right, weak, not strong, then he cannot build up relationships with peers, especially. He's not taken into play groups usually, or he'll be kept outside because of his weakness, or even if he goes or is taken in, he'll be treated differently as a weak one. So that affects his confidence. Therefore, bodily structure and the health also has a big effect on socialization. And intelligence. If the child is intelligent, right, so he gets lot of chances in his immediate society. He'll be recognized, right? And through his intelligence, he can uh, keep up with the society by building up good relationships and avoiding dangers, and by behaving, I mean, he'll be out outstanding in many fields because of his intelligence. Then emotional development. Mm, because emotional adjustability is very necessary for socialization. Emotional adjustability, by not getting anger. Let's say if you are always angry and if you are always called and shouts at others, right? If you are aggressive, if you are or if you are too sensitive and cries all the time, can't tolerate anything. If those emotional conditions, with such emotional conditions, you cannot be socialized well. So other way around, if you are, I mean, if you are patient, if you can tolerate, if you can um, control your anger and sadness and other sensitivenesses, well, then it will help you with the social development. So, influence of culture on social development. It's how culture uh, affects the social development. Child's social behavior is regulated and influenced by the culture of the society he lives in. Culture, maybe as an example, Sinhalese culture, Buddhist culture, or the Islamic culture, Hindu culture, if we take in Sri Lanka, so they are different from each other, and they have a very big influence on the child's socialization process. Right? We grow up as a part of that culture, right? So the ways of behaving by the people of one generation pass on from generation to generation. That's also very important. The children to be associated with the grandmothers and grandfathers is very essential for the positive or good socialization of the child, because the child learns about his past, about his family, about his history from the stories of mothers and grandmothers and grandfathers, from their grandparents. Right? They like to tell about the uh, achievements, especially with their grandchildren. So the culture is passed, right? When the grandmother goes to the temple, child also is taken, right? To the mosque or church, wherever, usually they are taken, right? Or when they go to the fair or to the boutique or to any common place, Dhanagidara, whatever, they take the children with them, and they become very influencing agents for the socialization of the child. So there are two ways in which the behavior patterns of culture are transmitted to the next generation. The first way is directly and formally as an educational programs at various stages of education. That's the direct and formal way. Then informally, through interactions between parents and their children, which occur in the course of bringing up children, right? Especially as an example, let's say the Alutavrudu Charitra, the customs, right? They are informally taken down from generation to generation through parents and the children, right? Through the interactions of family members. Then role of classroom in the process of social development. So classroom, once again, is a critical place or area which supports the child's social development. In the nursery school, how does that classroom effects. They are in nursery school, in that classroom, the instruction is very informal. There's no formality in it. The way we talk to children, the way we address them, uh, names we call them, everything is actually very informal. Focus on developing good manners and etiquettes. Usually, uh, by making them interact with others, we help them to develop good manners, right? To behave without disturbing the other persons. Or that's the place actually the children learn about their self space. Every human being in the world, they have their own self space. We also have, even when they are alone, even now you have your own self space. You don't like others to interrupt that space, right? When they come too close, or when they touch you, or when they try to contact unnecessarily or without your permission, without your consent, then you don't like it. So, yes, any question? So, nursery classroom is the place where they recognize this so self space, right? That helps them to develop good manners and etiquettes, to be a nice person in the society. That trains this classroom, nursery classroom, trains children to become less dependent on their parents and siblings. So they learn to use their hands properly, right? To bear certain little situations. Even physically, they are made fit, right? To carry things, even, right? To run and walk. And so independence is taught to them through making them involved in a lot of activities, physical activities. And then children are trained to practice equality by sharing toys, play materials, and other things. That's a good social quality. Practicing equality with people. That understanding all human beings are equal. They have equal rights. They have equal opportunities. There should be, right? We shouldn't violate the other people's uh, rights. So practicing equality will be usually done by sharing things and playing with other people and associating with peers. So in an elementary school, the classroom is how it helps to for the process of social development. It tries to turn students into responsible citizens of the school community. You know, Mm, so they become member of a big, very big community, the school community. If the child is admitted to big school, maybe the school community maybe consist of 5,000 students only, plus parents and teachers and principal. It's a big community. Then he becomes a member of that big community. So he must be a responsible citizen. Now he wears a school badge, school tie, right? So then he's taught how to dress the uniform correctly, how to put the shoes, how to wear the tie or badge correctly, right? Which color of, so how to keep your bag, everything, how to comb the hair. All these things are taught to him. And He becomes a responsible citizen of the school community. He cannot violate the rules of the school wherever he goes. So from the very elementary classes, they learn those things. Then work habits are inculcated among students. Schools have their own cultures, right? That school culture, especially the co-curricular activities and extracurricular activities that are practiced in the school, uh, uh, contributes a lot for the school culture, right? The band, the sport meet, how they conduct the prize giving, right? All those things are part of the school culture. So work habits, right? How to behave at certain situations, how to keep the school, the things that are used in the school correctly. All these things are inculcated among students while they are in the elementary classrooms. The class teacher teaches them. They are trained to cooperate with fellow students as well as to take orders ungrudgingly from the teacher. Cooperating with others and taking orders from teachers. There are some children, those who are spoiled at home, right? They don't like to, I mean, behave, or their behavior is bad actually. They are not obedient sometimes, right? So they are trained to cooperate with the or take orders from teachers. School provides experience of relationship with the senior generation as well as with equals. So having a big, I mean, the senior generation is very important for a child to be socialized. That's why most of the parents like to um, admit their children into big schools. When there's a big community, when there's a senior generation, it it contributes a lot for the development, social development of the child. In the middle school, so how it happens? Middle school, yes, the secondary classes, 6, 7, 8, 9 classes. So great emphasis is placed on academic achievements in the middle school, right? By this time, children are focused on their academic achievements. It's a stage at which many students terminate their education. Many students drop out at these ages, especially the dropout rate during the primary grades is comparatively less. But 6 to 10, 6 to 11, we can see a lot of dropouts, right? In the middle school, too much emphasis is placed on socialization. At this level, the peer groups relationships are more meaningful, not just playmates. These peer group members are more intimate than that, right? Sometimes um, some secrets, even parents do not know them. They share these secrets, their experiences, their ideas with the peer groups. So that's very meaningful. At higher secondary level, that is 10, 11, 12, 13, at this stage, the greatest premium is put on achievement, academic achievement. Mostly they focus on education at this time, both scholastic and co-curricular, in both ways. Achieving things is their main intention in academics and even in co-curricular. Students develop various skills and aptitudes which may enable them to chart their future life. So they think about their future life. What are we going to do as the employment in future? So kind of an idea is put in their head that common intention to become a doctor or an engineer, it shakes a little at this age because they understand themselves better and they understand, they see the opportunities also. The vast opportunities are there, so they understand, get an awareness of them. So ideal peer group relationship is much needed at this stage, right? Because peer group relationships sometimes are stronger than the parent-child or sibling ties also, right? So having uh, peer groups, those who can positively impact on others, is very important. Peer groups can be the destruction of the child also if the peer group is bad. So ideal peer group relationship is much needed. Development of adaptive skill is emphasized in group work. Role of the teacher in the social development. So we discussed about the classroom. Now let's have a look at the teacher's role. So teacher is the agent who encourages children, right? Discourage also can happen, but usually teacher's role is encouraging. Very rarely uh, opposite side happens. They encourage children whenever they need, academically or even in their co-curricular activities, their society, social work, everything. Teachers are there to encourage them. And they respect the personality of the child. Parents also do this, right? Personality of the child must be respected. We must admit, we as adults must admit that child is has his own independence. He has his own needs, and he has his own ways of fulfilling these needs. We have to respect that personality. And then mechanism of praise and blame, reward and punishment, that should be carefully used. They are necessary. Both praise and blame are necessary, right? But the extent, to which extent that should be used, must be carefully understood by the adults. Otherwise, that might be destructive in the child's character. Then reward and punishment also same. Rewarding them is very necessary. That motivates them in their academics and other achievements. But how much reward? And punishment also. How much punishment? What's the limit? Must be carefully recognized, understood by adults. Then teacher should be democratic, should not show any discrimination, right? That's very necessary for a good teacher. To be a good teacher, you have to be very democratic. No favorizations, right? No special attention, right? Any kind of discrimination must not happen in the classroom. Anyway, then co-curricular activities. Uh, teacher should be, co-curricular activities, group activities must be organized for children. If the teacher is the person who can organize them, right? If teacher doesn't take the initiation, then children might not have the ability, or they won't be able to organize them by themselves. Therefore, teachers, administratives, and other adults, members of the society, they must organize them for children to participate in. That's why schools do these things. They are done, they are organized for the benefit of children. So that's very necessary. Then should discuss about the welfare of students with administration. Welfare of the students. If the classrooms are, whether the classrooms are clean, whether there is enough ventilation, whether the washroom or the sanitary areas are clean and healthy, and whether the school premises, whether there are harmful places for children, like, where they can fall, right? Then the playground, whether it is clean, and when the children are involved in activities in the playground, lot of things about the welfare of the students, right? Even economic support for necessary children, they also must be discussed with the administration by teachers. Because they are the closest friends of adults of children, and they are the people who can recognize these needs of children. And then work experience should be introduced to children. So activities must be organized to provide work experience to children. Practical situations where lessons can be inculcated with the everyday life, they must be organized for the benefit of children. Then, from here onwards, and there are many other roles a teacher can play as in the social development of the child. You better collect more examples for that. Then we'll move to the second big topic, that is emotional development. There are a lot of definitions for emotion, meaning of emotion, right? Emotions, developing, emotional developing is very essential for the child to lead a harmonious life, and for the person to develop the personality of an individual. It's very important that balance in or control in emotions is very important. So what are emotions? Especially for children, proper training must be provided for them to control emotions. At young ages, infancy and the early childhood days, they don't have this control. Whatever that comes into their mind, they put out in whatever place it is. Right? They have no concern about the society, the environment, the people around him. Right? Whatever comes into the mind, they just release that anger, or happiness, or sadness, fear, everything. All those emotions are freely released by infants and early childhood children. But when they grow up, when they come to school and then goes up by class, then he gradually learns to control these emotions. Even if he gets angry, he knows that it is bad to shout and hit others. Those things are bad. He's taught, he's given that training. Otherwise, he doesn't know. If he's not behaved or controlled or supported to control the emotions by adults, then even when he becomes an adult, he very freely releases his emotions. That's bad for his social life. When there's a person who gets angry very often or instantly when they get angry, then it's very difficult to make contacts with them, and they will be not accepted well by the society. So socialization is difficult for them. That's why emotional development is that very much important. So emotions are complex psychological and biological responses consisting of subjective feelings like sadness, happiness, anger, fear. um, those are the very common feelings we have, right? They are very complex, some psychological and biological responses. There's a part of biology also in this, right? Because of certain hormones and other chemical parts in the body, also emotions exist. And psychological reactions and expressive behaviors to internal and external stimuli. So, emotions, the reasons for emotions may be internal or external. Internal reasons are also there when we think about something and go on thinking about it, and if it is annoying to us, we might get angry um, without any provocation from the outward society, right? So, and we get moody sometimes, right? The others around us do not know, or they don't have a um, even a slightest fear, understanding why this fellow is moody, right? So, uh, such internal and external stimuli can be there. External stimuli, all everyone can see. If you are afraid of something, the reason for that fear can be seen by everyone. But internal stimuli cannot be seen by others. But both internal and external stimuli can be the reason for these different emotions. The well-known psychologist McDougall, 1949, says an instinct is an inherited or innate psychophysical disposition which determines its possessor to perceive and to pay attention to. Right now, when you write uh, a definition, when you cite a definition like this, the words, the language is a little bit difficult, more scientific or very formal. But if you are writing a definition, then you'll have to by heart the same words which he has said or written in his documents, right? Objects of a certain class to experience an emotional excitement of a particular quality upon perceiving such an object, and to act in regard to it in a particular manner, or at least to experience an impulse to such an action. So read it carefully and understand the same thing we have been discussing is mentioned in that definition. McDougall's definition on emotion. And there are many other definitions also. This is one of them. So then, like the social development, we also will have a slight idea about characteristics of emotions. What are their common traits? The chief characteristic of emotions are like this. So emotional experiences are associated with some instinct or biological drives. Maybe an instinct or a biological drive like excretion of hormones, or maybe getting angered by something, right? Emotions in general are the product of perception. And the core of an emotion is feeling, which is essentially linked with some sort of urge or impulsive act to do. There can be some sort of an urge, like seeking for love, right? Or pacifying anger, right? Some sort of urge can be there, or an impulse to act, right? That is linked with an emotion, right? Maybe anger, maybe love. There is only a difference of degree between feeling and emotion. Feeling is something that is associated with our um, internal or internal mind, right? Emotion is something a little bit different than that. You feel the feeling, and emotion is something that is released by yourself. Now, let's say, so you feel happy when you, when you have passed an examination, that you feel happy about it, feeling. An emotion, excitement is there. That happiness is released or shown to the others through emotions, right? By the exposition of it. So every emotional experience involves several physical and psychological change in the organism of us, right? In our physical body, we can see changes in it. When we are happy, there's a slight redness in our can appear in the cheek. When you are angry, a deep redness appears, or your face becomes deeply red. Sometimes perspiration happens, right? Your voice changes. Lot of physical and psychological changes. Your eyes, right? Your the whole body shakes sometimes with the emotion. So some of these changes, like the bulge of the eyes, the flush of the face, the flow of tears, the increasing of pulse rate, and so on, can be easily observed, right? Your emotion, according to the emotion, these one or many of these physical changes might appear. There are also internal physiological changes like circulation of blood, impact on the digestive system, and the changes in the functions of some glands and so on. Right? When you are angry, the circulation of your blood it becomes speedy, right? So as a result of the increasing pulse rate, this circulation of blood can be increased, and the very often we can see because of emotions, uh, the digestive system, the working of digestive system can be irregular, and the changes in the functioning of some glands can be seen. Some kind of hormones might be, I mean, sometimes they can excrete uh, too much or sometimes not enough. And emotions are frequent. That's frequent. We cannot exactly say that at this time I will be emotional, right? It's frequent. And then emotions are expressed in relation to the concrete objects or situations that you can understand because of certain situations or certain concrete objects we get emotional situations. You can see when someone scolds you, when someone praises you also you become emotional, right? So that's a relation with them. Emotions are temporary. They don't go on forever. Even if even sadness, that's temporary. When something important or more, yes, bigger than that comes into your mind, that sadness, it's made less. Therefore, emotions are less, temporary. Then emotional expressions in early childhood are intense, irrespective of the intensity of the stimulus. Intense emotional experience, emotional uh, expressions, right? When they are angry, right, they cry from the top of their voice, right? No one can pacify them sometimes, right? They cry until the anger is controlled by them. Right? Even they are happy also, same. They behave sometimes, the way they show happiness is different from child to child. Sometimes they laugh, right? Shout, they a lot of emotional expressions can be seen. So childhood uh, emotional expressions are very intense. Where when they become adults, they know how to control them. Even there are adults, you must have seen those who still cannot control their emotions, right? Funerals and things are those places we can see such scenes. Then small children fail to hide their emotions and express them indirectly. Express them indirectly through different activities like crying, nail biting, thumb sucking, and speech difficulties. Right? All these things, crying without a reason, nail biting to the end of the nail until then thumb sucking. All these are some of the activities we can observe in child, and there can be some kind of a relationship between hiding emotions or something that is disturbing his mind. Then emotions are prevalent in every living organism. Every living organism shows these. Even dogs, right? Cats, other animals, they also show this, the emotions. Emotions are present at all stages of development and can be aroused in young as well as in old. All stages of development, from infancy to the very old age, emotions are present and can be aroused in young as well as in old. People can arouse emotions. Outsiders also can by doing involving various activities. Right? Then emotions differ from person to person. There are some people who are very those who have a good ability of concealing emotions. We can't, by looking at his face, we can't say what is going on in his mind. But there are some other people, those who are very transparent. Right? Whatever is in the mind, they put out, and very emotional. Okay, very emotional people. So emotions differ from person to person. And same emotion can be aroused by a number of different stimuli, objects, or situations. Let's say anger. There can be numerous reasons for a person to be getting angry. Objects or situations, both. Then emotions rise abruptly but die slowly. Emotions rise in very instantly. In 1 second, you feel happy. 1 second, you feel angry, sad, right? And they die slowly, not like the instant arousal of emotions. Dying of them is slow. Emotions are subject to displacement. The anger aroused on account of one stimuli gets transferred to other situations, right? So mothers, when they are at home, sometimes they begin to scold the children for not washing the teacups, and ends with something totally different or something totally new, maybe uh, for keeping the room untidy or for sleeping um, late, right? So that's how the characteristic of emotions. Anger caused by rebuking of the officer to his subordinate may be transferred in beating the children at home. That very usually happens. Sometimes we suppress emotions while we are in the school or in our society. Once you come home, right, those suppressed emotions, all of them come out, and the agents who have to who will be the culprit will be your own children. Sometimes you might have experienced that. Then one emotion may give rise to a number of likewise emotions. So it comes like a chain. One changes to the other, and then the other, and then the other, and go on. Very emotional people usually are very, they have a very good ability to find everything emotional, to make everything emotional. Right? They change from one to the other and to the other and go on being emotional. the changes that happen due to emotions. The internal bodily changes are internal body. During strong emotions, many changes occur in the body. Changing the heartbeat is one thing, right? When your heart, the condition of your heart is weak, you are advised to avoid being too emotional because that might be harmful with the heart. So change in the heartbeat. Then blood pressure also changes. Sometimes it becomes high, rapid heartbeat, and the circulation of blood makes the blood pressure changes in your internal body. When you are too happy or too angry or too afraid or fearful about something, that happens. Then change in galvanic skin responses. The skin, when you are afraid of something, you say that my uh, the hair in my hand raised, sometimes we say. They were erected sometimes, right? Like galvanic skin responses. And goosebumps appear when you are sometimes when you are surprised by something. Okay? Then chemical changes in the blood. You know, they say the medical practitioners have identified that the reason for uh, cholesterol also can be the reason, one of the reasons for that condition can be being too emotional. Chemical changes in the blood. Then changes in respiration rate. Sometimes it becomes very high. The because of the increasement in blood circulation, because there's an interconnection, uh, respiration rate also can be high. Then metabolic changes, changes in the digestive system. Sometimes they complain of undigestive processes. Right? Then external physical changes. What are they? You can see the facial expressions. The face is the best mirror to show your uh, emotions to the others. When you are angry, your face becomes red. When you are happy, right, slight redness appears on the cheek, right? When you are afraid also, your eyes are, bulge. Like, so lot of facial expressions uh, are formed because of emotions. Then vocal expressions, the voice. Sometimes you shout from the top of the speed. Sometimes the whole voice goes because of certain emotions, right? Vocal expressions. Then posture expressions. When people uh, are emotionally aroused, the facial expressions and voice changes. And when someone is afraid or frightened of something, then he trembles, the whole body shakes, and they try to run away from the person, from the place, and they rub hands and sitting with the head down, right? All of these postures, expressions show up the emotional condition of mind. Then effects of emotions. Now we know what are emotions and some of their characteristics. Then what effects these emotions make on people. Good effects and bad effects. There are both sides of effects of emotions. What are good effects? Source of motivation. Emotions are a source of, when you are happy about something, you are motivated to continue to do that which makes you happy, right? When you are uh, praised by others, right? When you get that feeling of confidence in you, then that's a motivation for you to do more things like that. So, source of motivation. Then, uh, source of enjoyment, right? Emotions, and usually they are positive, and enjoyment also, uh, enjoyment of life is also is supplied by emotions, right? Happiness, commitment, contentment, like lot of emotions provide the enjoyment of life. Then source of strength and endurance to the body. How does that happen? Right? Emotions, they give strength to our body. Individual can do unusual work under emotional excitement, which appears difficult in normal conditions. Mothers during those Ditwa cyclone periods, mothers have done some miraculous things. If you can remember, one mother said that she had saved both her children when the water has taken away her house and everything, but somehow she has been strong enough to grab the two children and come to safety. So emotions, that love for the children, the care or the need to protect them, has given her the strength and endurance uh, to overcome the difficulty. Then media of communication. Emotions are the media of communication, right? They serve um, as an effective media of communication between individuals, right? So then these are the positive effects, good effects of emotions. There can be bad effects also of emotions. Most damaging effect of emotions is on the physique of the individual, right? The physical health of the person can be severely damaged because of certain emotions. Constant emotional tensions may cause lack of sleep. When you're always disturbed in mind with certain problems, then may, may cause lack of sleep. Then restlessness, right? They cannot stay still for a long time because their mind is always um, jumping from one conclusion to the other. Therefore, restlessness appears. Then headache, always headache. The people go to various neurologists, right, and other physicians and try to find the reason, but sometimes the reason can be an unknown, uh, invisible thing like emotions. Then chronic fatigue. You don't know why you are always tired. right? That can be a reason of an emotion. Insomnia, that is, you forget everything. Even who you are, sometimes you have forgotten, even the name, where you are, whatever, right? Insomnia and lack of appetite. No appetite for food, especially. Always they feel that their stomach is full because they are restless always. Bad effects of emotions. Then also affects the memory. Very bad for, especially for children in academic years, school or university or other academic works. Forgetfulness increases in emotional state. Forgetfulness happens. Even slight little things are uh, forgotten when you are affected by bad emotions. The individual cannot reason, think, and concentrate on a problem. Right? When they are new to the job or that place, this happens. Constant emotional pressure disturbs learning ability. Right? Especially we see this condition in children also. So even in primary grades, we can see when when the children are constantly afraid of their fathers, right? Sometimes children cry at school, and when you ask for the reason, sometimes they might give that I'm afraid father will come home in the daytime, and when he catches mother, he might beat mother, so therefore I'm scared. So such problems are there with children. So that's an example only I gave. Constant emotional pressure disturbs learning ability also. Fear and anger cause the most powerful effect on thought process, moodiness and irritability. Main reasons for moodiness and irritability can be fear and anger about something. Their negative attitudes towards life, very bad, especially for adolescents. When they get negative attitudes, when they are always treated badly, when they have very bad emotions, that can be very critical, fatal. They tend to suicide themselves also because of these bad effects of emotions. Then factors influencing emotional development. How can we develop the emotions? Health and physical development of an individual is very essential. In a healthy body, there contains a healthy mind. That's a saying, famous saying, right? So health and physical development, mm, enough nutritious food, enough water, physical cleanliness, good health, good health habits, everything will be factors for influencing emotional development. Then intelligence and emotional development. Intelligence also has a big relationship with emotional development. If you are intelligent, you can handle situations better. You can see both sides of a problem and consider what is the best solution. That intelligence is very essential for controlling emotional development. Then family environment. Right? When you have a strong family, those who stand with you, whatever happens, then that will be very encouraging. right? That will be good, supportive for emotional development of people. Then school environment. If the school environment is happy, healthy, and academically well planned, and when if you get the feeling that you are accepted by the school community well, right, and when you are rewarded by the school community, those are very influencing for emotional development. Then peer group relations and emotional development. Sometimes children keep faith on peer groups even better than their own parents, right? That if with positive peer group relationships, one that will be a very big benefit for a person. When neighborhood, community, and society environment and emotion also is a big factor. So emotional development at different stages. In infants, they cry when they are hungry or when they are afraid of something or when they are in pain, right? Headache or toothache or stomach ache, like. So they cry to show these emotions. And they smile when they are happy in a pleasant mood, so when the physical body is also doing well. And when the stomach is full, also they smile. And in childhood, they fail to hide emotions. They openly show their emotions. Right? Emotions are more frequent and intensive than the adults. Right? Very frequent. Change from one to the other quickly and intensive also. The level they expose that emotion is very big. The emotional development in adulthood. Emotions provide energy to an individual to face a particular situation. It's an energy. If you take it positively, you can make it a benefit for your life. Emotions work as motivators of our behavior. We can improve our behavior uh, with emotions to become more productive, to work on time, right? To pay maximum effort in the work. Then emotions influence our adjustment in the society. We get adjusted to society always, right? We cannot be the same person forever when you are living, when you are a member of a society. You have to change your attitudes, your appearances, your needs, your likes and dislikes, all have to be changed to adjust to the society. Then highly emotional conditions disturb the mental equilibrium of an individual. Right? Always when you're struggling with different emotions for a long time, that will damage your mental equilibrium. That is a medical the sameness, it's not similarity in the patients of the hospital. Then highly emotional conditions disturb the reasoning and thinking of an individual. That's when people kill each other, right? When they become highly emotional, angry or fearful, what disrespect, like, those highly emotional conditions, they damage the reasoning and thinking of an individual. That's why they instantly react and they kill, they stab people, or right, kill each other. So we have to be very careful in controlling emotions. Then, kinds of emotion, positive and negative types. Usually, positive emotions are some examples: affection, love, amusement, curiosity, happiness, and joy. They are very helpful, positive emotions, and essential to the normal behavior. Behavior. So they are called positive emotions. Unpleasant emotions like anger, fear, and jealousy, which are harmful to the individual's development, are terrified as negative emotions. Signs of emotions. Emotions may be external or psychological and internal or psychological. So some techniques of modifying emotions, right? Kind of controlling, redirection. One of the best. These things are, when you feel that you can't control emotions, and sometimes if you think of getting medical attention on it, right? These are the techniques they use to help you medically, right? Redirection, changing your the way of you thinking, maybe, right? That's sublimation. And inhibition, mental occupation, positive suggestions, affectionate environment, especially for children. By creating an affectionate environment for him, we can help them to modify their emotions. Then example is better than percept, right? Setting example for the children is very essential to control their emotions. Then training, control and training of emotions, right? So proper training is necessary, especially for children who are very aggressive sometimes, who expose their emotions very freely. They need to be trained well, right? Then development of resistance. They must, through training, they must learn how to develop resistance to certain emotions. When anger comes in, right, by counting up to 10, you can control it. Like, kind of training, development of resistance must be taught. Then guidance and counseling provided by suitable qualified people, counselors, is necessary. Then proper understanding about that person. Why he behaves in this manner? Because of this reason. So we have to support, we have to be cooperative with him to overcome this problem. Like that, proper understanding must be there. Then motor development. Development of strength, speed, and accuracy in the use of muscular parts of the body, such as arms, eyes, legs, and neck muscles. This happens throughout the life. From infancy, even motor development happens, right? Development of Principles of motor development. Development takes place from head to tail, top to bottom. Principle explains that head starts developing first and other parts of the body in the direction of legs mature later. This is not the now emotional development we have finished. This is another topic, a small one. That's why I included in it. Then development takes place from near to far. Second principle. Principle states that parts near the brain or spinal cord will develop earlier, to which are those away from spinal cord, such as arms and the fine muscles of the fingers. They are developed later. Emotional development. You know. Then development of specific movements proceeds from mass activity. Newborn babies tend to move away their whole body later. Right? As they develop, they are able to move a specific body part. So, upbringing of children, those who come to this world as very tiny creatures, within 1 or 2 or 3 months, they are well grown, usually normal children, right? So the same procedure happens until the end of the end of any person's life. So educational implication of motor development. How does this strength or speed of a person is connected with education? It's getting late, but this is the last one. Children should be encouraged to manipulate, handle, and use different objects and implements to provide sensory activities and eye-hand coordination. At early stages, activities like clay work, coloring, tearing, cutting, painting, threading, sewing, and so on should be planned. Those activities help them to control the hand usage of hand, and to connect it with the eyes. Right? Through play activities, children learn motor skills by assembling and constructing and so on. Right? With these principles in their mind, the people have created a lot of toys for these children to develop their motor skills. Then proficiency of motor control depend on regular practice. Regular practice must be there, right? For little children, when they come to grade 1, usually we give them lot of activities to tear paper and to paste them again on a separate, maybe a drawing or in a separate sheet, right? To cut things, right? To use mud or clay activities. Those are very important to develop their motor skills. But demonstration in motor skills are very valuable for beginners. Manual guidance is more effective than verbal lessons. And independent activity accompanied by strong motivation lead to speedy motor development. Even those who have slight deformity in their hands, or especially hands or legs even, right? They are the treatments that are provided to them also are like this. Then supervision should be moderate. Supervision must be there when you develop motor skills. Must be moderate, right? So that is the subject area I plan to discuss today. Do you have any question, anything to clarify regarding what we learned today? Otherwise, we can wind up the session for today, and tomorrow we'll be meeting again to discuss the next topic, that is cognitive and language development. Once again, a very broad subject area. So we'll start exactly at 7:30 tomorrow. Let's try to start, then we can finish by on time. Then thank you very much for participating. If you have anything, can ask, or even
Thank you,
later
madam.
you can clarify. Right. Okay. Good night.
Thank you, madam. Good night.
Good
Thank
night,
you,
madam.
madam.
Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Good night.
Thank you, madam. Good night.